Thanks for joining us for this episode of Fluff and Crunch, the last for calendar year 2023, and the one in which we talk about our dreams, our goals, and our plans for 2024. And we'll define what we mean by those things in the episode itself. As always, if you like what you listen to, subscribe to the channel, either on YouTube or by the podcast. We'd really appreciate that. Leave feedback. Let us know what you think in the comments on this YouTube video, or join our Discord, the link to which is below and in the notes to the podcast, and let us know there. And I will say this right now, that our dreams, our plans, and our goals for 2024 include and involve you. We would really appreciate you being a part of this. So give a listen. Let us know what you think. Thanks so much. All right, we're recording. Good morning, Chris. How are you today?
Well, am I wet? Oh, no, I'm dry now. The
Is it
weather here
raining,
is awful.
or is it snowing?
Oh, it has snowed this week. No, it is raining and cold. So it was very much driving home from work thinking, this isn't running weather. But then driving's just worse because like you have spray and everything just sounds worse. And you get home and it's raining, but it's not heavy rain, but it is cold. It's
I tell you,
6 degrees here.
Personally, I think that if you have a non-muddy surface on which to run, I love a drizzle. I love a cool drizzle for a run because honestly, and this is going to sound totally dorky, but since this is a gaming podcast, I'm good. I kind of feel like I'm the barbarian of the frozen north, or like the ranger of the misty wood, as I'm out in the past when I have been able to run out there in the rain. So
I think when you're right, when it's warm, a nice drizzle is not because it's refreshing,
sure.
but it's 6 degrees, which is 42 Fahrenheit.
Oh, that's lovely.
No, it's cold. That's just like, it's bordering on, it's icy. But luckily it wasn't. If it'd been windy, it would have been very unpleasant.
You know what? It is hot chocolate.
No one else out.
It is hot chocolate in a book weather.
Yeah. So it was much colder than that. It would have been not pleasant at all. But it wasn't raining heavy enough that I couldn't go. Anyway, enough about me.
Right. So last week's episode, we did our year in review. We looked back on 2023. We looked back on the things we had said in 2022, and we held our feet to the fire and we talked about those things. And as we promised, this is the last episode number 52 for 2023. Crazy. This is our.
Do you know what episode number this will be when it releases?
You mean in total?
Yeah.
We
need to work that out at some point.
120 something.
It's really good, isn't it?
Maybe more than that. Crazy, weird. But we're going to forecast forward. We're going to talk about our dreams, our goals, and our plans in a couple of different categories for 2024. And the idea of dreams, goals, and plans is a dream is something we're just thinking about. Oh, that'd be really great if that happened, or that'd be really great if I did that.
The goal is what we want to happen. The plan is how we're going to go about it.
Yeah, a plan is when you take a goal and you start putting it on a calendar and you chop it into manageable bits and you sequence it and things like that. That's when you really commit. So we'll talk about dreams, goals, and plans.
We're going to start with the podcast. We're going to start with this podcast / YouTube, depending on whether you are listening or viewing.
We'll just call it a show now. How's that?
It's a show. Yeah, the show. Oh, that makes me good. I do a show. Ooh, does that make us show runners as well as the talent?
That makes us also chief bottle washers, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, we're just other duties as assigned in 0.2 farms.
You gave me some really weird one. I'd have to look up on the thing what it was.
Your wing commander or air commodore.
No, it was something way more complicated than that. Anyway, I'll look it up when we get it. So our first thing we're gonna is the podcast. So go on, Jeremy. What's a dream of yours for the show? Sorry.
Well, honestly, you said it last week. You said you never want to chase subscribers. You don't want to chase numbers.
I don't want to sell out.
I don't either. And it's not like we have. It's not like there are tons of people not lined up to buy. However, I would really love it if we could make the show something bigger in terms of a community. I would like to get in contact, and we have gotten in. There are some folks that show up regularly on the Discord, and I'll get to ideas for that. And there are some folks I converse with on Twitter that I really get great ideas from, and I feel this, the sense of the digital connection over a topic, over an idea. And I would really love to grow that circle and just have more people who are interested in talking about games and talking about ideas in games. That's a dream. I would love to have the show enable us to do that for our sake, but also for the sake of those people who want to join our merry band.
I'm gonna go bigger than that there because we're going dream. Because I would have just done goals and plans, but you've gone dream.
All right.
I want to have 1 million subscribers. No, that's a silly dream. I would like to get some more recognition outside of our what I feel is a relatively small sphere. So like we know that occasionally we have been mentioned on the Modifius things, and
Yep.
we know the Modifius people are aware of us because we've interviewed pretty much everyone
Yeah, several of
except
them.
for like Chris. That'd be a dream. I want to interview Chris.
That'd be cool.
Anyway,
Make that a
yeah, I'd like to kind of make the jump beyond, and ideally, I'd like that to go to some point that, like, I'm reading on Reddit, and someone posted, like I saw today, where someone was like, "Where can I get really good GM information?" And then they listed stuff I've seen everywhere else, and I'd love someone to answer that with, "Oh, you should listen to Fluff and Crunch," and I'd be
yeah.
like, "Yes, we've made it." That'd be good.
That would be cool. Well, so okay. So we have goals now. We have to have goals in order to try to reach that dream. It's not just going to happen on its own. Interviewing Birch, the hell, I'll see what I can do. Let's see if we
Yeah,
can
I
get
mean,
him on. Why not?
I would have hoped just partly because of Dreams and Machines, and we are under the impression that's like his baby.
It seems like it.
We could be wrong about that. But yeah, I would. Yeah, like, I don't know
All
what we can
right.
get out
No,
of it. Maybe
I don't
another.
care. I mean, it's not like if I reach
That'd be
out
cool.
and I say, "Hey, I want to do this," and he doesn't get back to me or ignores me or says no or whatever. I don't. It doesn't change our status at all. Who cares?
So essentially, our goals then podcast. Well, I mean, I'd like more people to listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
I'd also like more people. Well, particularly, I'd like more people to just listen to the show now, whether that's the podcast or the YouTube or accessing us on Discord. We'd like to. I'll stick to the show before we talk about the Discord and the community. So yeah, that's our goal, isn't it? We want more. We want more.
Yeah. And so what we have to do is we have to turn that into a plan. Which means that we need to learn about how to market and promote ourselves without becoming slobbering fools about it, without
Yeah.
chasing silly things. And the handy thing is that actually on my professional side, in my real in my real life, I have a need to learn about YouTube and some other like online promotional issues for that. And so I can take that and hopefully put it to use here, or maybe test out some things here that I might not at work, and we'll see what we can do. But you know what? Anyone who's listening, dead serious, if you have any experience in like how do you put content like this in front of more people? How do you get people to go, oh, maybe I'll give that a look? There are some ideas I've got. There are some things we're working on. But if you've got any experience with this, join the Discord and help us out. Give us
Yeah.
some tips.
I know what I used to do in the blog, but it was like every single time I wrote a new blog, I would post it in my own, that 70s game thing, but the people in there are already listening to the blog, so it doesn't help. You need to go beyond that.
Yes.
So if it was a Marvel multiverse thing, I would post on the Facebook thing there, and if it was a Marvel miniatures thing, I'd post on the Facebook thing there.
Oh.
But it's difficult. We already do that. I think you already do that for 2D20. You post into 2D, but the 2D20 Facebook groups are kind of small.
Yeah.
And so then it's awkward because it's like, well, a lot of the stuff we do isn't 2D20, it's general role playing, and that's where it gets awkward.
Yeah.
Now, so part of that thing, what I am trying to do, actually, this is a byproduct. I have started becoming more active. Active's the right word. On the RPG, the main RPG subreddit. Nothing to do with this. I just have.
Right.
I've just spent more time on it. As I spend more time on it, I find more things to write. To write comments on instead of just liking things. I'm actually writing comments, and as I write more comments, I'm getting more people. I'm getting like a lot of posts where I'm post replies to things, and I'm like I did one today on like a 35 likes on it. I'm like, ooh, lots of people are liking what I'm saying. But if you actively post on the RPG Reddit, you are allowed to self-promote things. Mm-hmm. So I am going to try and more often self-promote everything, self-promote the show. And hopefully it's a snowball, isn't it? You get a few people and you hope they tell a few more people and they tell a few more people. And you eventually hope it grows.
And so that's our plan. Our plan is to figure out how to do these things, this promotional side and this community side more effectively, and then do it. A portion of it is just putting in the work. And so that's a plan regarding the show. Now, along those lines, and you and I discussed this a bit, and we're going to nail down the exact details of this and then present it to folks. But we are committing to doing at least 1 to 2 2D20 focused episodes per month moving forward, so that if there is a system, like if we have our foot on one system alone, it would be 2D20. So I do
Yes.
want to maintain that, and I think that along those lines, our I still get great feedback from people about our Star Trek Adventures Starship Combat playthrough. Lots of people have come back and said, wow, that was really helpful. Now we can do it at our table. I think we need to go back to some things in 2D20 and do maybe some more of those that call them like quasi actual plays, but actual plays for the purpose of teaching things
Yeah.
if there are any holes, and especially with new games coming out. So
I mean,
we
there are
going to
holes
do that.
because we still have a list of things that we
Yeah.
never, because we
Yeah.
did the Star Trek, we did Starship, we did Starship Combat, we did non-Starship Combat, and we did Conan. We did a Conan thing.
Mm-hmm.
I played Conan. I got to be Conan. That was cool.
You did.
But we did
Got
have
to
a list
hack
of
up
other
a bunch
stuff.
of cultists on a beach.
Yeah, and I got to do the display.
Yeah.
And we did have a list of other stuff which we just haven't got around to.
Yeah.
Mostly because we kind of need reasonable system mastery of it to do it. Otherwise, what's the point of doing it? The other thing that we've talked about doing is, like you said, from the podcast, if you want to listen to initial stuff on 2D20, it exists. But if you want to see that on YouTube, it does not.
Correct.
So what we're thinking of doing is releasing short format YouTube things. Now, these aren't going to replace the weekly show. These are going to be extra, like we've done it occasionally. We've done bonus episodes, so we'll probably release them as bonus episodes on the podcast. At least this is the plan, but then they can be on YouTube. So like you've already split the YouTube up into different playlists, but means we can have a 2D20 help thing. So all those things we did right at the start of the podcast, which is, was it 21 or 22? It's at least
this is 2.5 years.
It's going to be basically, when we get around to it in 20, it's going to be 3 years since that stuff happened.
It's interesting. I went back and looked at, like, on YouTube, like how to do 2D20 stuff. And I find basically only old, we're talking 5, 6, 7 years old stuff with Nathan Dowdell from like 5, 6 years ago. And virtually all of it is long form, an hour and a half, 2-hour videos. Our goal with the how to 2D20 will be a series of they'll go out on the podcast, but the real focus will be them on YouTube. And we're talking like 10 to 15 minutes at most.
Yeah, I'm thinking 10 minutes.
Yep.
So 10 minutes on the basic mechanisms, momentum, threat, combat, so on. But that's the plan. And they may, they'll appear ideally they'll appear.
They'll appear. They'll start appearing by the end of January, the first few of them.
Well, I think I've said our plan was to do one big recording, and then you can chop them up. But it means we don't have to start releasing them until we know we've got a bunch ahead of time. Same as when we did the podcast, and we started the podcast originally. We recorded for quite a few weeks before you ever have dropped an episode.
And we were only dropping every other week, so we were out. And then we ran into the problem of there were news things and releases that we wanted to comment on, but we're like, well, crap, that's not going to be too. So that's why we went. One of the reasons we went weekly.
Except we record almost twice a week, but that's
so we want to. I mean, wrapping up the show, we want to see the podcast and YouTube as two expressions of the single thing called the show. What, 3 things?
And the third thing is the Discord. We want to. We want more of a community, which you kind of hinted at. But again, we essentially our goal for that is to have more people on it and more people talking more regularly.
Yeah.
Our plan is, well, if we're on it more often,
hopefully that will help.
That will help. So some of the things I might post onto Reddit, like if I'm going to post a question onto Reddit, I might then go onto the Discord and go that. Or if I see something really cool on the Reddit, I might go and post that in the Discord. I go, I've just seen this really cool someone asking a question about this.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? And I'm going to see if I can work out how to do the threads for that, because I think, to me, the downside of Discord is that it always feels like you're walking in on a conversation.
Yep.
always feels like you're walking in parts. So you have to then scroll back up, and then where did the
Where do you
conversation
start?
start?
Yeah.
Yeah. So threads now exist on Discord. I don't know how to do it, but I will try and work out
Okay. You're hired.
how do we actually how do we have threads? Because then you can ask a question and people can go, I like that. Oh, I'm gonna and
Yep.
dip into that question. But I don't
Okay.
know how threads work yet. But
So we have Fluff and Crunch. And Fluff and Crunch is the show and it's the community that's attached to it. And we want to
yes,
grow both those things.
it is our
And
media empire.
that's right. There you go. There
Because
you
you
go.
actually released your when you very optimistically said if we release more stuff together, and I was like, yeah. You said that we could release that under a Fluff and Crunch banner. I'm like, yeah, sure, Jeremy. If you want to release your stuff under Fluff and Crunch, you go ahead.
All right. All
I'll do
right. All
that as
right.
well.
Hey, one of these days, who knows? Okay. So what is the next thing that you want to talk about?
I've
Our
put our
dreams.
gaming, but actually, let's do a little sub thing before we do our gaming.
Very
Let's
subtle.
do writing, yeah, creating/writing.
Right.
Essentially, I'm talking drive through stuff. So then so
So
if I had the time, yes, I would love to. There's a bunch of ideas I have in the back of my head for 2D20 I would love to do. I'm coming round to the idea that I think essentially, now this is a crap version of blaming, because your Aris is so good and so detailed. I can't compete with that, and therefore I don't want to release something that's half-assed. That's an excuse. That's me using you as a convenient excuse. I think I need to take some of the ideas and like at least write them down, play it once or twice, and then go, no, this is okay, and release it. I don't, most of the rules are already there and in a form where you can take the SRD and cut and paste it enough. The one thing that screws me is the fact they don't allow AI art, which is irritating.
So do you have what would be right now, what's at the top of your list, you think, for something that you would like to write for the World Builders program?
I just got there's this like thing in the back of my head of a couple of different properties, putting them together where they have linking. So, and it's literally just random ideas. And I'd like to put it down.
Did you say Lincoln
and write
like Abraham Lincoln?
No, as in linking them together.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, that would be a heck of a
yeah,
thing.
it's nothing written. It's literally occasionally I have an idea in my back head and I'm like, oh, I'd like to do it. But the reality is I haven't got the time to do it.
Sure.
So it's not going to, but that'd be a dream. There is no goal or plan for that. That is
Okay.
100% dream. How about you though?
Okay. I don't have dreams. I have goals and plans. A goal is to write something that would essentially be a world book for Eris. That is a source book of the colony of Linian and the world around it, and then some background on the colonies of Eris, and then also the elf realm that's on the other side of the ocean that is connected to this. That is a goal. I know what I need to do is buckle myself down and like tape my eyes open like Clockwork Orange and make myself start writing out crappy ideas so I can say that's garbage, and I can replace it with something good. So Eris World Guide, whatever you're going to call it. I have plans. I must finish the third and final in my Guadalcanal Octone Cthulhu adventure series, Fear at 50 Fathoms. So we have Jungle Rot and Island Getaway are already up, and I'm going to finish off that series with Fear at 50 Fathoms. And I would actually, I'll add a goal to that. I would like to write another Octone Cthulhu trilogy or something like that, like a series of adventures. I just need to decide where and when. It seems to me like Modiphius has got, John Houlihan and his crew have got the war in Europe covered.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I mean, I guess, the obvious one to switch to would be the Pacific, which is what I've done. CBI, the China Burma India Theater, is like little known by anybody. So I was thinking about that, but I don't know. I am going to finish the trilogy. I'll finish that by the end of February. That's the plan. And then I want to come up with another set of those. I don't want to let it lie fallow and just sit there. So there's my writing. There are my my World Builders writing thoughts, plans, goals, whatever you want to call it. All right.
Cool.
What do you got next?
Right,
gaming. What are our gaming for us? Like us at the table ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, Need to put that meme you sent me on the Discord.
Which one's that?
The one about the I've looked into 14 million futures, and how many of them did you schedule a game?
Yeah,
One, the
yeah,
Doctor Strange one.
it's so true.
Yeah, that's me this year. It's just I had this very, very strange year this year. But from January till July, we were meeting pretty regularly, like
Yep.
most of the time it was sort of 3 out of 4 weeks. And even when I was doing exam marking, and we didn't do board games, we did role playing for virtually that whole time. So I played, 10, I don't know, close to 10 sessions of me running, and Scott did a couple of sessions, and Brian did, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 sessions, and we were on a good roll. But then since then we have done no role playing, and right now I'm really frustrated about this. I was really hoping to get in a Christmas episode of something between now and Christmas. And now it looks like it's not going to happen, because we're meeting tonight, but to play a board game. And I was planning something for next week or the week after, depending when it is. And it looks like we're not going to be able to do it. So I'm like, oh, so I'm not even going to manage to do any role playing before the end of the year.
So what is it looking forward? You look back at the weirdness of 23. What about 24?
I think I'm going to do the opposite of the last 2 years. The last 2 years, kind of, it was campaigns. Like 23 was, we played a big D&D campaign. In fact, 2 big D&D campaigns running at the same time. And the year before, we played the whole of Strahd, which again was a D&D campaign. And we played through Tales from the Loop, which I think it was only like 4 or 5 adventures, but still it was like a short form campaign. And we did a lot of that. We played, the same system for longer periods of time. I think I'm going to go back to what I was doing. I think it was in 21 when we first started. Because we were in lockdown. I was running quick starts. I was literally running exclusively quick start, trying to decide, do we like this system? Oh no,
so you're talking about running something for like 2 to 3 sessions at most.
Probably, at most, literally running things for, if I can do it in 1 session, 1. If it takes 2, it takes 2, and doing that, because I have a spreadsheet with all of the games that either I haven't played but have quick starts or starter sets or the core books for, or things that I think, with the exception of Infinity, I think everything else is stuff I haven't played. And I've got like sort of over 25 things on this list. So even if it was only once every other week, that would take me the whole of next coverage year. So, and I think that's what I want to do is, try things. I mean, probably what we do is, like, I've put a thing in where I've rated the ones I'm most interested in, and Brian's rated his, and Scott, of course, hasn't. And I think we'll probably pick the, like, right, well, I'm going to start with this thing, and then I'll go through the ones we're really excited about. And then if we find one we really like, then maybe we'll run a few more sessions in it.
Sure, you play it as it goes.
Essentially, I want to do more. That's my goal, and that's my plan, is to do more role playing. And I've got a spreadsheet. I can work out which ones we're going to start with, and then we'll see how we get on.
I like that.
How about you?
I like that. Well, the current plan is, and it's rolling. Like, there is momentum now behind it. Like, getting the thing moving initially takes so much, and keeping it going is less But this the Kingmaker Castles and Crusades campaign, I definitely want to stick with Castles. I like Castles and Crusades, and my players are coming around, and some of my players are like finding things in the system that they really like because of how different it is from 5e. It provides fantasy, but in a very different way. I want to work through, at least, definitely for sure, the first 2 books in the Kingmaker Adventure Path using the Castles and Crusades rules. I want to do that. However, you got me thinking. And if my players hear this, I'm going to be hell to pay for me. But you said that you think it'd be a good idea if I ran Eris for an extended period of time, which is an absolute no-brainer. And you're absolutely right. I should be running the darn thing, because if there are rough spots, I can fix them mechanically. And it's so much easier to develop story when you're in it. That is, for me. I mean, it's a lot easier for me to drill down into those details when there's the immediacy, and it's like, you run your first half a mile and you get into a good pace, and then it's easy to keep going, story-wise, creativity-wise. So my goal is, or not a goal, but actually it is a goal. I will run Eris in 2024 for an extended period of time, for at least, like a month, 2 or 3. I'd say like 2 to 3 months at least. That is a goal. How that's going to fit in, where am I going to do that? Will we retool these Kingmaker characters and see how it works using a radically different system? I don't know. I'm not a fan of shelving a campaign and saying we'll come back to that in a couple months, because you never do.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that's actually I've successfully done that once, only once. So that's my gaming thing. I do want to run Eris. I want to continue with Kingmaker, and periodically I'd like to try. And this is a goal. It's not a dream. It's a goal. I'd like to try some other, not necessarily other systems, or not necessarily, like I'm open to trying some other 2D20 games that I haven't played or have not run in a long time. So I want to try to balance between Castles of Crusades and Eris as like the two pillars, with a sprinkling of variety between and around those.
Oh, we both have very clear plans.
Yes, we
Yeah.
do. Now, how about outside of all of this? Do you have any good personal life stuff that you'll share to the broader public? That is.
No, unlike last year where it was this big year and we had all these things going on, I've got the big thing planned for next year is that Annie is competing in a dance competition in America.
Oh, really? Where?
In Florida. It's back at Disney. It's
cool.
It's at ESPN.
When is it? You can tell me
Ooh.
offline. How's that?
Yeah,
So
good
long,
idea.
like creepers.
But I can't go because I'm working and it's in the middle of my exam period.
Oh, that
So
blows.
Mika gets to take her and go to Florida again a year after we've just been. And I can't go. I remember looking at like, could I fly on the Friday night? And it's like, yeah, I turn up sort of Saturday night, and it's just pointless. So I can't go. So that's a bit annoying. That's the only big thing for that. You?
I want to rehab my Achilles.
Oh dear, you've done it that badly.
Well, I believe that I have, and from input from professionals, I have tendonitis in my right Achilles, and it is textbook. You've run for more than half your life. You are now, I would prefer to say I'm Middle Earth, not middle aged. That makes me feel better, a little more fantastical. But I'm 52. My Wolverine powers have dissipated. And so I can't run right now, which pisses me off. I can bike, but not crazy, because it swells up. And so I don't want to Aaron Rodgers myself. So instead, the Achilles tear this season in the NFL has been like, that's like the Barbie movie of injuries for NFL players. Like, everybody's doing it. I don't want to do that. And so I need to properly rehab the thing, because I want to get back to running some. I recognize I can't run now like I did a decade ago, but I enjoy running. I come up with a lot of game ideas while pedaling around or running. So I want to properly rehab this stupid thing, so that I can get back to that. And if anyone out there runs or does an endurance sport and has had insertional Achilles tendonitis, feel free to drop a comment and give me some advice. Our community goes beyond gaming, darn it. So yeah, that's it. That's what I've got. I need to write. I enjoy writing. I said last week, writing is hard. My golly, it's hard.
Yeah, you have.
But when you do it and you look at it and you go, oh my gosh, I wrote all that. And someone looks at it and goes, that's pretty cool.
I look at yours.
Oh, but it's just gratifying. It's gratifying. And frankly, like, every kid who played D&D or some other role-playing game at some point, like, especially when you're like from middle school onward, had a dream or wrote their own like craptacular game or book or something like that. And you always have that dream of like, I have these ideas and I want to create something. And it's not just for my own self-gratification. It's, hey, I can contribute something. So I definitely want to do that. Definitely want to do that.
Last one then. So larger gaming. Is there any, last year you had one thing, so yours will be quick. So larger gaming, is there any gaming stuff you are looking forward to for last year? Because last year you had one, which was the Star Trek shit book.
Yeah,
thing,
I did.
Which you got.
You know, what do you got? I got to think.
I got a load. I mean,
Well, you can only
2D20
pick
wise,
two. How's that?
I've got way more than I'm not stopping at two. This is my big thing.
Oh, I'll just edit them out.
Oh, wow.
No,
Wow. Just
I'll
like the
like
puppet
Joseph.
master.
I'll Joseph Stalin. You're out. You'll just disappear
Jesus
on the
Christ. It's
pictures.
just, yeah,
No.
redact everything. Um, yeah, 2D20 wise, I'm hoping there's going to be a Picard book because I think that'd be cool.
Hmm.
Just like a book set in that time period. Because like in Lower Decks, kind of that, but I'd like more of a, Lower
There.
Decks really focuses on the being in the lower deck of the ship. I'd like a
Yeah.
wider world thing.
Let me throw this
I'm
out there
really
about. Let me throw this out there really quickly about Star Trek Adventures. I know no details, but I have heard some of the writers, and Jim Johnson has mentioned this on the Continuing Missions, the podcast. That they've. It sounds to me like he's been deep in a lot of work for Star Trek Adventures for the coming year.
good.
So who knows? But it sounds like there's a lot of stuff coming out.
And I'd just like something else new actually. I think I've got to the point where I've given up on there being an Elder Scrolls. It feels like it's just not happening.
Right.
It feels like the time for that to have been released would have been now. But I'm wondering, like, are they going to move away from the licensed properties,
Yeah.
apart from Star Trek, obviously, and are they going to move into more of their
In-house
own
stuff. Yeah.
properties? And are we going to see
Cohors, Dreams and Machines, Octung. Do those become more
and is
the
there going to be
pillars?
something else?
Yeah.
So I just like to see new stuff for that. That'd be cool. So that's 2D20 wise. You got any? And then I'll do my non 2D20.
I'm curious about what is going to come out for Star Trek Adventures because I'm a fan of the property, so I'm interested in that. Um, to be perfectly honest, I feel like after the SRD came out, there's just for 2D20 that is, and after the OGL war and all these other companies creating the Orc license and then this and then that and all these promises and ideas and whatever of different I really haven't there hasn't been anything that's like piqued my interest and kept it like, oh gee, I'm really interested in what that's going to be like when it eventually comes out. So uh nothing really. There isn't
Well,
really
that's
anything
depressing.
that I'm looking forward. That doesn't make me sad or anything. It's just like whatever. I'm sure that there'll be some things that'll come out in this year that will surprise me and be cool. But there's nothing I've got my eye on.
So I've got a couple. So Icon, which is the fantasy game by the people that did Lancer, that's basically they've been testing that. I don't know whether they're going to do a Kickstarter or just like release a full-fledged book or do a pre-order or what, but that's now got to a version where they've gone, this is now feature complete. So now it's a case of we're just sticking the art on and doing it. I struggle to read like beta or draft versions of games when it's like just white pages and walls of text, like the SRD. I really struggle to read that when it's not interspersed with like examples and I mean there's bits of art in it, but just the text on white, I just really struggle to read those things. So I'm really looking forward to I hope that gets something because having looked at it, it looks like a really good system, looks right up my alley. But I'm like looking at it going, I just can't really read it, so it's hard to get into. And then again, there's a sort of cyber fantasy version of that comes off City of the Mist. So it was kind of Powered by the Apocalypse, but it's pretty far removed from that now. Which I always get the name wrong. I've written down it's called Otherverse, and it's not. It's called Otherscape. And that was kickstarted. And again, they've done drafts of that. And the final version should be coming for that next year. So like those are two. Like I'm like, I just hope they release next year. And then I am curious about the new version of D&D. But the thing I saw the other day I found a bit weird. I was I swear it said Player's Handbook, and then it said 2024 edition, which I thought was a really weird way of phrasing it. I don't think it's that excited I was initially. I think initially I thought they were going to do more. Everything I've heard about it now basically says it's like they've basically gone and done a sort of once over on all the classes and tweaked them and changed some of the archetypes. And there's going to be a lot more art. So the books sound like they're going to look nice, but even the monsters are like, we're changing the stat block layout and putting some new monsters in it. And the DMG apparently is going to have a setting in it. So it all sounds interesting more than it's not a new version.
It's
not
gee
like
whiz. It doesn't sound compelling to you. It's just gee whiz. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, we
Couldn't care
right,
less.
we had 3 to 3.5 wasn't a change, but 3 to 4 was massive, and 4 to
Yeah.
5 was massive. And this feels like it is 5 to 5.5.
This feels, it
bit
sounds to me
like,
more like moving furniture around and maybe like adding some like bric-a-brac to sit on a bookcase or something like it. Doesn't sound like
yeah.
like radical change, but
So I think it's something I'll probably put on a wish list for my birthday. So if I get it, I'll be like, yeah, D&D books. But I can't see myself rushing out to. Then again, maybe I'll rush out and buy it. But yeah, I think I was more excited a year ago when I knew it wasn't coming out, as opposed to this year when it is coming out this year, and a bit like, not. Probably because I've played a lot of D&D over the last 2 years.
could be.
So I can't see myself playing it. I think is why I'm not that bothered. But yes, there is interesting stuff coming out next year, which I am quite excited about, which is good because then I can play it. So fingers crossed.
And
whatever,
if you stick with your idea of like speed dating different different systems, then that could fit in well.
And I'm probably looking forward to whatever Free League releases next, because I basically back everything they release.
You do.
In various forms, and then I can't remember what I did and didn't back, and whether I got it in. They just release good stuff, but the trouble is I keep then getting mixed up. Did I back it in PDF or in physical form? And then
Check
I don't
your
know.
email.
Yeah,
I have a folder in my Gmail where I keep receipts for game related things, so I can go find this information. You can use labels to your advantage as well.
I did have a spreadsheet at one point that I updated with all my Kickstarter stuff, but then I just forget to update it, so then it doesn't help.
All right.
Anyway, but yeah, I think that's
all right.
That's our 2024.
So here's the deal, folks. Comment. We would love to start conversations. The link to the Discord is in this. Subscribe to this if you're watching it on YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast. That link is below as well. And
share it with other people.
So, and tell other people if there's someone you know who's like, yeah, you really like to talk about, like, again, where do system setting and story come together, and in a way that's just really focused on the games. It's focused on the fun that we have at the table and planning for the table for these games. If you're interested in that, join the conversation. It will grow. Thumbs up to those of you who are listening, and have a fine day.
Yeah, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Thank you, as always, for listening to Fluff and Crunch. You can join our Discord, you can subscribe to the podcast, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, all through the links in the show notes. Thanks again. Have a great day. We look forward to talking with you.